Hello, welcome everyone. It's Kevin from Kevin on Whisky. Hopefully we're in, we don't have any technical issues, but we'll wait and see. It's been a long time since I've done a live, but I've got a few things to talk about, so hopefully you can stay tuned in. Hopefully you have a dram poured as well, and hopefully this all sounds okay. So I'm just having a wee look just to make sure there's no delays and things like that. It does look okay just now. Let's hope it stays that way. So tonight, what I'm going to be talking about is bottles from distillery, like distillery-owned bottlings and also independent bottlings, trying to do like a versus of how do they compete against each other? Are we more entitled to buy, or more inclined, to buy a distillery blend, or are we going to go independent? Things like that. I think there's a lot to kind of talk about on both of them. So I'm seeing some people popping in. We've got Benny Frizzin, Jimmy Jazz, Pete Head, Frank's in as well. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. If you've got a wee dram, let me know what you've got. I have started with a Dalwhinnie 15. Dalwhinnie's kind of the first distillery I kind of ever really remember going to when of age and being able to. I think I was actually 18 when I went. So a long time ago. So I thought I'll pull that out. I'll start with that, get a wee palate cleanser going. So I'm also going to be doing the, what is it? I'm going to open this tonight as well. And I'm going to do a wee live review of the new Torabhaig Alt Glen. So it's kind of batch 2 of it. So to get started, I made a wee list of things that official bottlings for distilleries that I like, and try to do some price comparisons compared to what we have here and what else we've got there. We've got Sandro all the way from Milan in Italy. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. Good to see you in. So I've got a wee list. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 official bottlings and I've got 6 indie bottlings, which kind of price-wise slightly similar, but different at the same time. So I'll go through a wee run-through of how this kind of all started for me and where my taste buds seem to be diving off to, and why, or I don't even know why they're doing it, but I can see myself inclining to buy certain bottles. So Lagavulin 16, I think for a lot of people, is what brought people into whiskey. Like for me, it was Lagavulin 16, the whiskey that I tried that tasted different from everything else, because whiskey just tasted like whiskey to me. I think we've all been in that little stage of what is whiskey. You never try your first ever dram and go, why have I missed this all my life? This is amazing. It's hard to understand. It's hard to get a grasp of, first of all. So I found Lagavulin 16 to be the one that got me into it. So that's my kind of official bottling. But the thing with that is the price is kind of, at 16 years old, yes, 50, 70 pounds is what you're paying for it just now, which is in kind of looking at it, it's not too bad. At the 50 side, I think it's not too bad for what you're getting in comparison to other bottles that are out there. But we can flip that as well, because there's other bottles which I like that are 10 years old, which are similar prices. But I have in 12, which I think is absolutely solid, something which is a staple bottle in my whiskey collection. Every time it gets finished, it comes back in. I just have to do that. So Jamie Brown's saying there that it's a Talisker 10 and Lafroy 10 that got you into it. Exactly. So these are kind of different whiskies. These aren't, I would say, whiskies that are easy going. They're very different, completely different for me. But going on to the Boona 12, it's solid. It's always here. You can get it on deal sometimes. I've got a price here just now. It's like £38, but I'm pretty sure sometimes in supermarkets they'll bring the price down if you've got a club card and etc. So I always try and pick it up if I've got that. So I'm going to jump in because it seems like a lot of people are trying to say what got them into it, which is be good to see. I'd like to know what got you into whiskey, and if it is something different, or was it something quite simple like Dalwhinnie 15, which isn't too complex. It's nice, it's honeyed, it's simple dram. Or was it something big, hard hitting, Lafroigs and peat monsters and all these things? So we'll have a look. So let's see, let's start up here. So everyone's in, it's great to see, sipping on, take a sample of. So Frank's has got an Octomore 10.1, a sample of it. I think I've actually got the 10.1 Frank as well, sitting here. Jamie Brown's not dramming, but he's looking forward to it. Thanks, Jamie. I'll try and make sure it's informative. school night, so a Springbank 10 in the glass is what Lee J Brown's got. Lee J, that's on my list as well, the Springbank 10. And Jamie's seen the Tasker 10, Lefroy 10, we got to that, they got him into it, and Lefroy 10 is just a completely, it's like Marmite. People like Lefroy, or they won't go near it. I think it's quite a completely different style of whiskey. Frank's got a Glenrothes from Cadenheads in his glass. Cadenheads we'll talk about as well. I've got then as my indie side. Octomore's too expensive in comparison with Cask Strength Stoisha. Yes, Octomore is unbelievably expensive. If we strip it down and we look at it, it's 5 years old Cask Strength whiskey. If we look at it that way, the ppm is so high on it, but that's the ppm before distillation, I think, so it still comes out quite low, but it's cool to have an Octomore. I think just it's expensive. And Peathead's on the Lakes, the one sherry, that's good as well, because it's a lot of, is it Cleela or something that's in that? There's a lot of Scotch in that, I'm sure. We'll get back to this just now, but it's good to see what you're sipping on. Let me know what got you into whiskey as well. So Boona 12, £38, always going to be there. Springbank 10, that's around about £50. Springbank's always hard to get, but again, that's something I'll always try and have. I think it's absolutely beautiful stuff, and it's something a wee bit different. Loch Lomond single grain. This might throw people a little bit. Loch Lomond single grain, distillery bottling, and it's a single grain because it's made in a long neck still. And I think it's phenomenal for the money. It's £25 to £30 max you'll pay for this. Sometimes you get it £22 in supermarkets that I see, which is, if you can see it, get it. Ed Friday just popped in from Huntly. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you got something in the glass. Got two, Essie, no drams tonight. Have tastings tomorrow and Friday. Good evening, Des. Good evening to see you too. So single grain, people can be thrown off by grain as well, but when you look at the single grain, this is a weird thing about this Loch Lomond for me, which distillery bottling, you can kind of pick it up anywhere, but it's not an independent. And the single grain, but it's still barley, but it's single grain. It's called that because it's in a long neck still. It's a bit of madness behind it, but I love it. I think it's absolutely great. The winning 15, which I've got in the glass, which we talked about £38. And then one of the staple ones is a Deanston 12 for me. I think Deanston 12 is absolutely great. Solid 46.3%, ticks all the boxes and all these things. So when I find with whiskey is when you talk to people about whiskey, what do you like? And it's always goes, but what's your favourite distillery? And I think people will say, if you ask the question, what is your favourite whiskey? It's such a hard thing to answer. I find it so difficult because it could be a different day and I could be in a different mood and find something that will change all the time. But you ask someone what's their favourite distillery, it usually kind of goes with the experience that they had when they get there. And they've got this little connection going on. Like for me, my favourite is Bruichladdich. I had an absolutely superb time. I got to meet Adam Hannett when I went there and had a chat and sit down and we spoke for ages and I got this amazing tour. So that sat really well with me. And I've been to a few. I've not been to too many distilleries, believe it or not. And Deanston's my other one. It's my local one. I love it. In Glengoyne. These are like the three ones that stand out. But Bruichladdich for the experience. And they do have one of my favourite whiskies as well, which is up on my shelf, which will always be churned over once it's finished. It will go back in. So we look at these bottles. You can pick them up kind of readily online for official bottlings. They're always kind of going to be there. Boona having 12, for instance, constantly turning out, constantly be there. The same every year. It should taste the same every year. It should be consistent and readily available. Same with that full list that I've really said is readily available, bar Lagavulin 16. There was a little bit of issue. I think it was maybe last year. No one could find it. You couldn't get it anywhere. And I don't know if it's the same. I've not bought it for a while just because the price, I think it's still pricey. And I've tried other things that, for me, sit a little bit better just now. But when I go to a bar, if it's on good price, I'll always buy it and kind of get that taste buds going again and have a wee search online to see if I can pick it up a little bit cheaper. So the bottles that I've got here, which are the standard bottlings, are sitting in front of me. And I've got the independent side. So the independent side, I've seen myself moving to of late. I've been looking online and loving independents because you know so much on the label. It tells you more or less the casks that are used, dates it was distilled, bottled, casks, QR codes, absolutely everything that you want. It's very, very transparent. And I think indie bottles are really whiskey enthusiasts that have a passion for it and want the drinker, the people that really enjoy whiskey, to enjoy. So most of them are over 46%, usually cask strength, natural colour, non-chill filtered, all these cool, amazing things. Then the wee list that I've made here with pricing as well, I think kind of talks for itself. So the ones that I've got in front of me here, if I go first, I've got the Carnmore, which the Morrison Distillers. This here, hope the lights a wee bit. I'll do that. So this is the 2015 Ben Nevis. I picked that up for £45 when that came out. Independent bottling. It tells me exactly everything I want to see, very transparent on the front. Distilled 2015 in a sherry hogshead. It's a Highland region, 1,323 bottles, 6 years old, bottled in 2021. Right at the bottom, non-chill filtered, no added colour, 47.5%. Everything's there, everything's transparent. But if we go to Darwinning 15, yes, they're kind of different, but label-wise, this is bread and butter, constant, out there all the time. I can't see natural colour, I can't see chill filtered, I can't see anything. It doesn't give me much information. You know, on the back, it just tells you where Darwinning is, but it doesn't say the casks that have been used and things. You have to kind of go and hunt for it. But with this, you know exactly what you're given. People want to know, oh, what cask is that? The bottle will tell you. So I like that about it. I think their stuff's great. £45. I've got Cadenheads, which was their own bottling, which was done when I was there in July of last year. And this is Bunnahabhain and Ardmore kind of blend, cask strength, 59.8%. That's blow your socks off. Scottish Malt Whisky Society, which is one of the biggest independents out there, they're very quirky in what they do. You can get memberships for these guys here. And I'll talk a wee bit about this because they do some really different stuff. I picked this up, which is a 10-year-old. It's actually a Loch Lomond, or it's one of the Loch Lomans that they've got, one of the wee islands that they've called it after. But it's 10 years old, 59.6%, and it tells me everything on there. And I picked this one up for £39 at the time. £39. I'll jump into the chat for a wee minute and let's see if anyone's got anything there to say. Dry Night Tonight, Des is saying, really enjoying Glendronach 8-year-old, the Healing, and RM10. The Glendronach 8's the bourbon cask. I've actually never tried that, Sandro. The RM10 I absolutely love. Also came some Carnmore Indie Bottlings, Glenrothes 13, Long Row 11. Yes, Long Row 11's great. Jamie Brown saying Inchmurrin. Yes, I'm sure it's the Inchmurrin. Pete Ed saying the Ben Nevis, a cracking dram. It's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. So the Scottish Malt Whisky Society, every bottle's green, which is the only wee thing that puts me off because you can never see the colour. I think independent bottlers don't really care what the colour is because they trust the liquid in the quantity. Or Inchmone. Yeah, it's one of the two. Definitely, I can't remember. I need to look at the number. So on these things here, with independent bottling, I think the hardest thing's got to be about picking a brand. How do you name it properly? How do you put it out there? How do people want to see a bottle and notice it? The SMWS, their bottles are numbers. So this is bottle 112.41. So this means it's distillery 112. So the 112th distillery they went to and got a cask from. 0.41 means it's a 41st cask, which has been they've bought. And they call it these funky names, tart fruit crumble. So they've got these crazy apple and pears cascaded into underripe cherries and rhubarb crumble dressed in vanilla custard, previously in a second fill ex-bourbon hogshead. So it's very quirky. It's out there. But they've been going for, I think, since the early 80s or late 70s. Pit Pills that started this. So I love what they do because it's always hard to get. Once this is gone, it's gone. That's the 275 bottles of this. And once that's gone, you'll never find it again. And that's the cool thing with indie bottlings, because you might just find a gem that if you love it, you just have to nurse it. But when you go for a standard bottling, having 12, you can finish it. Don't be worried because you'll pick another one up when you can. That's it. So for that bottle there, for the price under £40 for a 10-year-old cask strength single cask is, I think that's absolutely superb pricing. Cabba's Green, so it's beaded or peated, so you know all the kind of ins and outs of this, right? That's good to know, because I need to do a wee bit more research and all. I know there's colour coordinations for certain things and flavour profiles. 112 is at Inchmurray. Yes, that's the one there. I really like it. £39 I paid when I went to the one in Queen Street a couple of months ago. Whisky always just popped in. How are you? Hope everything's all good over there in Belfast. You went in the glass tonight. Hopefully I have Jimmy back. Jimmy, good evening. He's saying to Petehead, to Whisky Novice as well. So Benny says, got myself a Carmore SNWS bottle someday. The Indie bottles in my collection. A Cadenhead, Signatory, Rattray, Adelphi. And as of today, I got the Adelphi Glenelg 13. That's phenomenal. That is phenomenal stuff. My last one's Duncan Taylor. I don't know too much about Duncan Taylor, but he does get a good rap. The thing I do say about independent bottlers, I love information. I think it's great. This has got so much information, which you would have to sit down and go online and type things in. But this gives you the cask number, when it was bottled, the bottle number. This is bottle number 3 of 258. The ABV, the casks, and all that. It's great, and it's Brackla. This was gifted to me, but I did do a wee bit of research to see the price, and it was it's up there at £60 for a 9-year-old. But I think Duncan Taylor is a wee bit pricey, but you're getting good quality. Another one I'll talk about was one of the first indie bottles, which I think the label's very bland. It's quite old school, but the pricing is great and the quality is sensational for what we're getting. So Whisky Brokers are kind of quiet, goes under the radar, independent bottler. These guys here, hopefully the light will stop and that'll try and focus. But Whisky Broker, they don't ever tell you when stuff's going out. You just kind of have to randomly pop on their website. It's kind of old school website as well, and find what they've got. So this is a 9-year-old Kalila, 58.7% red wine barrique, and 263 bottles. I bought this because it was bottled on the 6th of May 2020, and the 6th of May is my birthday. In 2020 I was 30, so I bought that for this single cask bottling, and I paid at the time for this £45 for a red wine barrique. And it's cracking. It's still got wee bits in it. It's not just filtered. It's great. So when you have it sitting for ages at the bottom of it, it's got all the char and stuff. It's amazing. You can see at the bottom, it's just sitting. It's great for price, for quality. Presentation isn't there, but it tells me enough information that I want to know. And then James Eadie's the last one. James Eadie's doing great stuff as well. And I think when we look at independent bottlers, for me, compared to distillery bottlings, you have this amazing grasp. They just want to do more. They want casks from these distilleries because they want to they love it and they think, this is what I want to do with this. I want to put it in a red wine barrique. I want to re-char it. I want to do this. I want to experiment and get it out there. And people like it. They will buy it, which I think's where I seem to be going. I see quirkier things. I see something a little bit different. I'm like, oh wow, that's something I've not seen before. And they're just smaller amounts are coming out. Yes, I think there's more passion in now. I was playing golf today with Ben Marnock, one of the whiskey guys, and he's actually dropped me a couple of bottles off, which I'll be reviewing soon. But one of them, he was saying that one of the distilleries, one of Diageo's distilleries, one of the Stillman is leaving after 32 years because they want to drop it back and just have it. When they're cutting the first cuts and second cuts, has to be done at a certain time, so it's going to be turned kind of computerized. And I don't want to see distilleries doing that. I don't want to see press a button, you go for a tour, and it's just this futuristic, not ran by humans. You know, the men and women of the whiskey world, I think, make it, and they've got the passion and they want to do it. Some people are starting to hear that, yeah, we're going to start putting times into timing belts to do these. These guys that have spent their full life, and women spent their full life doing this trade, and it's an art, you know, absolutely perfecting their art, and a wee robot's going to come in and take over is just, yes, you'll probably get more and the consistency will be there, but these guys are just wanting to try more. They'll be there and they want to do different things and experiment. And I don't know if some of these will then go, do you know what? I'm going to move to an independent thing on my own and get cask and keep doing what I want on my own and bringing good whiskey to the world. I hope that's what's going to happen. So a question to everyone here, what do you prefer? If it is a very difficult question. If you had the option, are you going to go and buy, so we'll do it this way, in fact, we'll go through the regions. If you had a Highland, if you had money there, say £50, are you going to go Highland region only, distillery only bottling, or would you try a Highland independent? What would you do? What would you be thinking your £50 would get you? Would you stick and go for something that you always like and love, or would you go for something independent which sounds a little bit similar but has something more higher ABV, something along those lines? What would you think would be your kind of cup of tea for that? So Jamie Brown's went indie straight away. Don't even think you hesitated there. The other thing for me is I'm always going to have my staples that are going to be there. Always going to have them that are going to sit and come back. Springbank, definitely. Dalwhinnie, when it's done, that's more, it's a nice, easy sipping whiskey, but not one that I would constantly turn over. It's cheap enough. For a 15-year-old, it's probably one of the best priced whiskies out there for its age. But it's not, it doesn't excite me as much. Springbank, yes, it really excites me. I love it. It just does exactly what it says in the tin. Excuse me, and the Bunnahabhain 12 are just absolutely solid. Petehead saying, keep in mind, distillery only bottlings are something else than core range. They often are more special, but you're leaning towards independence. I think distillery only, so I'm kind of sitting, I could have probably worked a wee bit better. Core range stuff from distilleries, there is definitely some amazing distillery only bottlings which are better than independents. For instance, the Teapot Dram for Glengoyne last year was absolutely brilliant for me. I loved it, and there was nothing really similar on the independent side, but the price of it is where you're thinking this is a bit too much. Well, far too much for me. It was 120 quid, I think it was, for, we don't even know the age of it. Yes, it was 59.9%, and it was just like liquid sherry practically. It was great, but you wouldn't go and buy that again. For me anyway, I wouldn't go back out and drop another £120. Batch 8 is nearly released, and you're expecting that to be even more expensive. Whisky Novice is saying, I think I still tend to err on the side of caution by the original bottle that I know and love. I think it's got to be the kind of mood I'm in, and if I'm in a whiskey shop, you can see the original bottlings and you'll see indie bottlings, and you can kind of go in between and say, okay, I've had that, I know I like it, this is different, it's new, and speak to the guys in there and get a little bit of knowledge from it. Sometimes they've got samples, sometimes you can try it. But I seem, for me, I've just been so led towards indie bottlings lately, and it was just literally looking at my collection, and I would say I've probably got more indies than I have kind of natural bottlings of distilleries. The only ones that I really go to that I've got a lot is kind of Campbelltown region, which is my favourite region of whiskey style, and I've got a lot there. But one of the things I wanted to talk about as well, how the independent side can then, independent bottlers can then become core range bottlings. And what I mean by that is having Adelphi. Adelphi bottlings are absolutely super whiskey. They've done so much. They've built a huge following, a huge profile, brought in a lot of money. And from that, they've been able to bring to us Ardnamurchan, which is now, from the back of a brand of being an indie first, buying that first cask, buying your second cask, putting it out there, people are buying it, money's coming in, you buy more. Before you know it, you've got enough revenue to build your own distillery. They've done that. and Ardnamurchan's came out. It's kind of one of the latest ones if you look at the kind of newer side of things. Ardnamurchan now has the AD range as a kind of core range, and I would definitely buy that all the time. So I think it's great. I trusted at Adelphi. I know what I'm getting, and that amount of care and effort that went into what they are doing is super. I love the bottling. I think the Adelphi bottling was so simple but so effective. I think it looks so classy. And Ardnamurchan QR code, they're giving it everything they want. They've listened to what the whiskey drinkers want. So they've went the other way. They went from being an independent bottler to then becoming an official bottler of their own stuff, but still keeping the Adelphi brand going, which is amazing for me. So I've just missed a couple of comments here. Oh, my mum's popped in. Hello, mum. Hope you're well. Peter says a good example. Benny Frizz is saying, I love indie bottlers, so that would be my first choice, but always depends on my shopping mood. What good prices I find out when I feel, and what I feel I miss in the collection. Whisky Novice is off. Whisky, I will see you soon, hopefully, maybe in the live tomorrow night if you're in with Sheila. If not, I'll see you next week on Roy's when he's back. So who else have we got? Hillary's in. Hello, hope you made it to your, wherever you went in your journey, you made it there in one piece. It looks like you have. I'd rather go for distillery bottling it and try independent now and again. Too many distilleries I haven't tried. Yeah, exactly. Mark, sorry I'm late, buddy, but here now with an Adelphi 8-year-old Ben Riek here, and we're just talking about Adelphi just now, so you're perfect timing. As you look at the huge following that they've got, and they've built a distillery, and everyone's going to that distillery, they want the liquid, and it's getting raved about, but they're still keeping the indie side going. They're keeping what everyone loves, but still going on that track of being original. We go back even further in time, you look at Gordon MacPhail from the 1800s, Harold from Elgin, and then they've been independent forever and ever and ever. But they built Ben Roma a good few years back, I remember 2002 or something like that. That is their distillery as well. So they've got a natural bottling, their own distillery that's doing their own stuff, but still producing Gordon MacPhail whiskies and buying these casks and having the two tracks. So you're wondering if this is the main goal for independent bottlers. Are indie bottlers going that way to build enough revenue so years to come they can build their own distillery and build the whiskey that they want? Because these guys that are buying, the women that are buying casks and bottling them are like, this is great, but they want to have their own footprint. They want to get to that stage of, this is my distillery, this is a whiskey that I've made, and this is what I love. So that's what I want to see more of. I want to see these guys, and there's a lot of distilleries open up, as we can see. There's so many new distilleries, like Torabhaig, for instance, the latest one. Aberaghy, which is going to be one that's opening, which is Carnmore, which is Morrison Distillers, which used to be Morrison Mackay. They've then moved to Morrison Distillers, and they're going to be opening their own distillery. I think they're going to be, next year is when their liquid will be going in to casks. I think they're still in the stage of weeding out what they want the base spirit to taste like, the new make spirit to taste like. I think they're at that stage. But they're just kind of three examples of going from independent to becoming a distillery, which I think's amazing. I wonder if the Thompson Bros have their eyes on distilling. Yes, Jimmy, I think they've got to be close as well, because their pricing on everything is great. They've got a massive following, and I think it would be crazy for them not to. It just depends what the end goal is. I am friends with a guy called Kevin as well. It's a great name. And he is about to start his own independent line of things. And I'm going to hopefully speak with him this week or early next week and just see, like, what is the process? Where do you start, and how easy is it to start? And what do you do? And it's going to be one, I might try and record it. I might try and go live with them just to see, tell us about how you've came to this. What do you need to do? And I've spoke to him just kind of passing and things, and he says the hardest thing to do is come up with a name, because everyone's got names for something. You think you've got a great name, you Google it, you check it out, it's already got trademark against it, or someone's patented it. She says that is the hardest thing to do, is to find a name. Excuse me. But I think the bottle has to look good for an independent bottler. and it has to be enough information on it. I'm going to pour something. I will pour what will I go for? I'll go for my SMWS. I'll pour a wee Loch Lomond in Schmurren. I've got nothing in my glass. So Thomson Rose, either Dornoch Distillery, the Thomson Brothers, I forgot about that. Yeah, so when their first bottle came out, it was like, I think it was maybe £100 for their first ever bottling. And then it became, in auction, like £1,200. It just went mental. It's just so small. They're working on their second distillery now, which is obviously want to produce more, but I'm on their email list and they're bringing out some amazing independents. I think it was last year was a 23-year-old Ben Nevis, which I felt like I should pull the trigger, but I've got so much on. I'm going away at the end of the month, so I can't be buying whiskey. And especially now that my partner is in the chat, I can't say I'm going to buy it because I'll get in trouble. So I'm not buying it, just so you know. But it was like 220 quid as well for 23-year-old Ben Nevis. If you think about it, it's actually probably quite justifiable for that age because Ben Nevis is hard to get. Donna Pass Whiskey's in. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. But I'll not buy anything just now. I've kind of took the foot off and tried to sit back. I've got too much to go through. I've not got enough space. So trying to finish things that I've been sitting on for ages. And now you can go out, see more people, people can come round. It's starting to go through a wee bit better. Yes, Donna, Pass Whiskey, all the troublemakers are in, but they've caused no trouble yet, which is good. I'm only joking. So one of the things I looked at as well, I got a wee insight to some sales. I know I was trying to find like independent bottler sales, if that was something that you could break down as an export, but you just couldn't. It was too hard to find. So for 2019, the stats for 2019 for single malt Scotch whisky, the export value, or the amount that was exported, was £1.46 billion in single malt. And that was around the world, everywhere, worldwide. But blends, so blends, which Scotch blends that went out, was 3.16 billion. You know, nearly triple, double and a bit of, it was double the amount of a single malt. So blends are drank more worldwide, and I wonder, when you look at the indie market, I don't know what it's like overseas. That's probably a question. Is it easy overseas to find independent bottlers? Do you see any of the ones that I've named? So guys all over the world, if you're somewhere from Italy and Germany and America and things, have you got Carnmore, Whiskey Broker, Cadenheads, Duncan Taylor, or have they just tailored itself to be a British market because there's so little amount to go around because you're getting 200 bottles or so per cask? I know Lady of the Glen, that their big money makers are going Europe. You know, you don't see as much in shops locally because they've got such a small yield, but their market's in Europe, which is fine. Or find your base, find where you're going to get revenue and just go for it. But I found that really mad, and I think it's just because I love single malt. I thought it would be different, but you're looking at £4.5 billion of export in 2019 alone. And the big countries, the top three countries that the export goes to, that most of these bottles were going to, Taiwan was first. So most whiskey going to Taiwan, which I believe is more blends. Italy was the second, and Canada was third. These are the three countries that the export is major raking in the money. And you're seeing more whiskey probably than Scotland is getting made here, but more of it gets exported around the world. America was seventh, which I found very odd. I thought America would have been top of the tree or at least top three, but they're literally seventh there. Here in Holland, Petehead is saying that they've got Carmore, Adelphi, Duncan Taylor, no, but we have local independents like Van Wees, the Ultimate. So you've got your own independents there. So I wonder if that's a case of being indies, sticking to your own market, saving some money by just having local export, not paying tax to go out to Europe or America and so forth. Build your brand before you can actually start doing that. So I think that's actually quite a good idea. And what else? And that's kind of what I've got on for that. But I've got a huge list of. I'm just going to start rhyming off all the independent bottlers that I was able to find, all the kind of bigger ones, in no particular order either. So there's some that I've not heard about either. Well, I've maybe heard, but I don't know anything about. Torabhaig Whisky saying, we are lucky in California to have K&L Wine that buys you a ton of independent bottles and sells them for very good prices. We have a bunch of pre-arrival orders in that are starting to arrive now. So that's amazing that you've got somewhere, you've got that link to get these cool things that you see online or you get to see people raving about over here, and you're able to get them in there. Russell's also saying all the big independents and quite a few small IBs are easily available in the German market. So Europe seems to be the easier place to get independence compared to your Americas. Obviously, the export market for Taiwan, Italy, and Canada, I'd be quite intrigued. I'm actually going to Canada at the end of the month, so I will jump into a few stores and see what is there, if there's anything different, if there's anything that I don't see. But I'm quite intrigued by that. But independent bottlers, I'm going to go through some of the ones I know, some of them I don't. So we've got Gordon MacPhail, heard of them, I've had some of their stuff. Berry Bros and Rudd, definitely heard of them. Signatory, heard of them, they're massive. So these are three massive ones. Ian McLeod, Distillers, they do independent bottlers like Smoke Kid, don't know if that's classed as their IB stuff, but they're more, it's Glengoyne, they've now got Rosebank, what else have they got? What's the one, the Speyside, I just done it the other day. Tamdhu and gin. Blackadder International, I've not really heard of that, I don't know too much about them. Duncan Taylor that I've got. Scottish Malt Whisky Society, we have Murray McDavid. Murray McDavid, I've tried some of their stuff. I think, personally, the pricing of it is just so expensive for what you're getting, and there's other independents there which are cheaper for similar product. So that's kind of thrown me a little bit. Excuse me. Compass Box, absolutely love Compass Box. We know what they do. They're great, good ethos and everything, and tells you what it does in a tin. I should have put that on the list. I love them. North Star, Master of Malt, Atom Brands. I don't know who Atom Brands are. The Boutique Whisky Company, yes, heard them. The Character of Isla Whisky Company, don't really know them. Burnt Ends, I don't know them. The Whisky Agency, I've not really heard of them. Dewar Rattray, yes. Douglas Lane, massive. Malts of Scotland, Hunter Lane, Weems, Single Cask Nation, Meadowside Blending, never heard of them. Elixir, who's absolutely massive. Ultimate Whisky Company, Vintage Malt Whisky Company, Svenska, Eldvatten, and I think we're starting to go over. Cadenheads, Adelphi, Deerstalker, Morrison Mackay, but now Morrison's, Edinburgh Whisky, Zanzibar, Dramful, Angel's Nectar, Single Cask, Selected Malts, Alistair Walker Whisky Company, Skeen Scotch Whisky, Watt Whisky, The Whisky Baron, Lady of the Glen, the Isla Boys, and that's kind of the list that I've got there. So there's a few that I've not heard, and there's a few that I do know, which I enjoy. But that's a lot just now. Well, maybe if you look at the grand scale of how many distilleries are out there, it's not as much, but there's so many smaller independent bottlers out there as well, which are just trying to grow and get their brand on the market. So what else? What have I missed? Canada's a government-controlled liquor sale, so very expensive and not a great selection is what Sandro's saying. So I better take all my spending money with me if I see anything of note. I'll just maybe keep it here and buy more whiskey when I'm here. Single Cask Nation, perhaps. They were saying, be it Old Particular, Old Malt Cask, Hepburn's Choice, Sovereign mostly, but they're often. So they were the ones I didn't even have in this list. You know, I've heard of them too. Jimmy Jazz, never heard of. He's saying Torabhaig Whisky. Old Particular is Douglas Lane, Old Man's Cask, Hunterling. I do know, other no. Right, so it's finding so many of these guys, which is quite hard to find. I've not had one from everyone, but I'm tending to lead towards independence just now. I think that's just the way I'm drawn to. But last night I was sitting looking at the shelf and I thought, I don't know what I'm going for. I went for a Springbank. I know it's solid, I know I enjoy it. That's the one I'm after. Des is saying in South Africa, we get the old man's cask and Hepburn's Choice. Hepburn's Choice, I've seen a lot of, and sometimes you find a wee dusty one sitting on a shelf in a shop going for a good price, which has been bottled in like 2014, and no one's just decided to buy it. So you can definitely find wee hidden gems. And same with the standard bottlings. I think it's just your luck. And when I worked in the whiskey, I worked in the shop. It was more of a specialist shop, and not many people would come in and ask for, you know, Dalwhinnie 15s or Bunnahabhain 12s. They were looking for something different. Guys that have came from America, guys that had came from Europe, Canada, all over the world. And some of them would come in and say, can I get Dalwhinnie 15? And I would say, yeah, you can. Have you tried it before? Yeah, I've had it loads. And I would say, do you want to try something different? Would you like to see something different, which is maybe a little bit similar that you've not tried, similar price, and just try and open the mind to something? And see, the majority of the time when you would say, this is readily available, Dalwhinnie 15 is going to be there for a long, long time. You'll be able to find it comes out in its millions every year. Try something like this, and you put them towards something indie bottling, slightly different, and they would take that, because when they go home, and they would always say, oh, my buddies have never tried this, this will be great to open with them and chat about. I'll remember the little story. And you're getting to help people try something different. Yeah, they might never come back and buy it again, but it's given that choice of what an independent bottler can do, which I think's great to open up your palate a little bit more. Sandro was saying independent bottles are fine, but if you find one you love, buy 2 bottles or 3 as unrepeatable in definition. I bought 2 bottles of the Carnmore Ben Nevis last year because I knew I would get through one, because when I get really excited about a whiskey, it goes very quickly. Not because I drink it all, I share so much of it. I want people to try it to see, do you get the same reaction as me? Sometimes they do, sometimes they just say, yeah, it's nice, it's okay. But it's fine, we've not all got the same taste buds. We can't all like the same things. I'm going to put a wee bit of water in this because it is 59.6% ABV. It's got a wee bit strong, but it's nice on its own. I do like it. After this, I'll open the Torabhaig. In fact, I'll even open the Torabhaig just now and put it in a glass to give it a wee bit of time to breathe. So I have the first one. I've not tried it, but I'm going to open this. I say I don't collect whiskey, but I found myself, oh well, I found myself, it's a very satisfying noise, isn't it? I found myself collecting whiskey, which I thought I'd never do. I've got my wee aqua vitae coin that I'll use for my wee lid, just to keep that in there. But we'll get on to that in a minute. Get on to that in a wee minute. So let's pour myself an independent Carnmore Kalila. Jammy is what Pete Head's saying. The Carnmore 4-year-old and 6-year-old Ben Nevis bottles were fantastic. The 4-year-old Russell was my whiskey of the year last year. I thought it was amazing. It was like 40 quid. Sensational value for what you got. It was so different. It is the dirtiest, most eggiest, weirdly sweet dram I had. I love a whiskey that just stops me to make me think, like, what is going on here? This is wild. This is... But the smell was really weird, but it tasted absolutely excellent. So I couldn't find the second one for so long, and I was hunting and I finally found one. And I paid, I think, so the first bottle I got was like under £40, maybe 39 or £40. The second one I got was 50. So I wasn't too bothered because it was only that a little bit more. And you bought it on my recommendations. Oh, thanks, Russell. Yeah, I'll always be honest with my recommendations as well. That if I like it, it doesn't mean you will, but some people do buy from it. I think last week when I done my, I can't remember what I done my last review on, I wasn't overly keen on it. I thought it was okay. And that's kind of the first whiskey in a while that I thought was just okay. But I could try it again and I'd be like, oh, it's amazing. It just depends on your mood. It depends on how your palate's doing as well. Benny's saying, I don't collect whiskey by definition as well. Only problem is that I buy more than I can drink. That's me. Like, I've got a couple sitting there, first releases, first editions. I think so. That's when we're going to. If you collect whiskey, great. I think no problem at all. If you collect whiskey, most people that collect some drink whiskey as well, so they'll buy ones to drink and one to collect. For me, because there's these new distilleries open, there's going to be first editions. Is try and get first editions, because how often can you say now, I've got the first edition from that distillery? Could you imagine having the first edition from Macallan or whatever? You're only going to find things from yonder year in auction that are going to go for 50 grand and stuff like that. No, crazy prices. That was just, you're not going to find a first edition from Macallan, but you know what I mean? How to try and find the early days in these distilleries is near impossible to find edition 1 from distilleries 40, 50 years ago. So if you think that, that's a good, 20, 30 years down the line, they're going to go. Some of them, I check how they're doing in auction. I've got the Springbank 10-year-old local barley, which was the Victor Sherry, the first one that they done. And that was like £92 for the bottle, but it's sitting in auction at nearly £600 just now. Yes, I'm intrigued in opening it, but I've told myself no unless I really, really have to. But that's what I'm going to keep a hold on. We've got maybe 3 or 4 which we're sitting on, but the rest are open. I'll open things, and if I can get 2 of them, one's going to get opened all the time. But I try not buy 2 because I don't think it's fair. Because I know a lot of people out there that drink whiskey that want to buy these whiskies to drink, and if I'm holding one just to hoard it to try and make a few pounds down the line, I know someone there. Now sometimes I'll just sell them for the price I bought it and go, do you know what? I know you're going to drink it, you're going to enjoy it, have it, and then I'll keep mine. I'm not majorly fussed, because I think the fear of missing out is a huge thing. Definitely is true. But if you miss something today, for instance, say something came out today and you miss it, you're gutted, you're annoyed, you think, why have I not got this one and so-and-so's got it? See, this time next month, you'll forget about it. Something else will come along you would have got and going, oh, great, I've got one. So never get hung up on things that you missed. There's always a chance to get it again. I mean, it will always fly up in auction too. I'm trying to think what else I've put in my notes here. I've not put as much down as I thought. Tuning in from Gartcosh, Tommy. How you doing, Tom? Have you got a wee dram tonight? Hopefully you have. If not, I've got hundreds of whiskey here that I can get to you in no time. I've just opened the Torabhaig. I'm just waiting to do that. What I'll actually talk about just now is the next 2 reviews that I'm going to do. So this week's review, Friday's review, is going to be this. So golfing again with Ben today, or Ronnie, and he's given me this to review. This is a 25-year-old Glendronach hand-filled sherry puncheon. And you can't even see my face through that. That is absolutely Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. It's amazing. So that's going to be Friday's review. I'll probably record that tomorrow and put it out Friday morning. And then this is going to be next week's final review before I go away. I'm going to take September off because I'm away for that long. And this is going to be the whiskey I'm doing next week. Again, gifted, not all of it, just to have a sample of and do this. Tommy's an Aberlour 12. You can't go wrong with an Aberlour 12. This was one of the first whiskies I tried too. I think I actually had a dram of that the other day. I actually really enjoy it. I've not had it that long. So this, something I've not heard of before, is Senachie, or Senachie, or maybe the CH is there. It's a 40-year-old, so hopefully you can see that. This is a 40-year-old blended malt, and I'll tell you just now, I'll give you a wee sneak peek to actually what is in this. So it's 5 casks married together for 8 years. So it's Tomatin, Balblair, Glenfarclas, Balvenie, and Milton Duff. They were all 8 years old, and then they lay for 32 years in one big cask in Campbelltown and Springbank's hold. So this I'm a wee bit excited about. ABV is 43.2%. I need to take a dram of this standing up because I've never drank a whiskey older than myself. So that is a 40-year-old that I'll be reviewing next week. So I'll need to do a wee bit of research. I know nothing about it. I only know what the makeup is, but it's pretty exciting. I've got it sitting here on the floor beside loads of pillows, so if anything happens, it's going to be surrounded by a wee safety net. But yeah, so that's me. So there we go. Good point, Kevin, on buying collecting for first editions. Yeah, I think it's our first opportunity this day and age to get first editions, and it's, you know, if you want to sit on something for 30 years, put it in the loft, forget about it, it's going to be worth something then. Because at the same time, not to be a party pooper, say there might be a crash again. There's so many new distilleries coming up and things that the market is flooded with whiskey. It's going to be too hard to try and get new things that the loyalty could you could throw off your loyalty. For instance, they're all very similar priced. You might say, for instance, your natural bottlings of Bunnahabhain 12, you get it all the time, but you know, I know what that tastes like. I'll go and get something else. And before you know it, you like something else, you never go back there. How many people will that happen to, that they get their traffic diverts to somewhere else? And if these new distilleries are up and running and they don't do it right straight away, people are like, oh, it's actually not that good, I don't enjoy it. It's going to be difficult to get the revenue to stay alive. So there could be a potential crash, maybe. Jimmy Jazz is saying, I have one of those Seneca 40 waiting for. I can't wait to try it. I'm buzzing as well. I really am, because I don't know what to say about it. I'm going to be kind of no idea what to say. Torabhaig Whisky is saying, so many wonderful bottles to get that aren't getting chased, Coquerin, except the 12, the Springbank, except the 15, are just too hard to get and too expensive. Just explore other things. I think you need to be really lucky. I'm lucky with Springbank. I'm lucky with Coquerin because I've still got my connections in the shop that I worked in. The guys always keep one for me, but they know I open it as well. So usually open it, I take samples back to them, and that's fine. You know, I'm absolutely happy to share everything. But I know what you mean. The whiskey that's amazing, the one you want more of, because Springbank is, I'll tell you just now, this is, where did I find this? A wee book here. Springbank have this, there it is. So they produce 750,000 litres. They can produce yearly 750,000 litres, but where is it? The production volumes have increased. They actually only produce 280,000, which is, you know, nowhere near the full capacity of what they can do. So there is so much potential to have more out there, but they just don't do it for some reason. I don't know why, but I think that's what they're going up to. The last couple of years, the production volumes have increased, and 280,000 litres were planned for 2020. However, with the virus, owners are now aiming for 120,000 litres, of which 10% is Longrow and 10% is Hazelburn. So that was even less because of that. So you think if that's how much is produced, this year's supply that has went out is probably all that's out there. They probably have to work a little bit more to try and keep up with the demand. There's not enough whiskey for the demand because they make it so well. It's not a bad problem to have, is it? Jimmy Jazz said, I can't wait to try it. Yeah, it's going to be great. You need to let me know what you think of it. Welsh Toro's here as well. Hi all. Indie bottles are part of the makeup for me. They can be hit and miss, but I enjoy the risk and always make an educated judgment when buying. Yeah, I totally agree with that statement. You have to have that wee educated. Do I like it? Does it sound up my street? A lot of kind of independent shops you go into usually have samples of things. So I'd always go in and try, book onto whiskey tastings. Like last week, I done a Carnmore tasting. I got to try things that I've looked at and I thought I might get that. Some of them were absolutely great and some were good. And I thought, you know what, I've just saved myself £40 for buying that bottle to be nosy. But the other bottle that was £47 that I was maybe not too interested in, I would buy that because I thought I really enjoyed it. So doing tastings are absolutely great for it. Is Coquerin also owned by Springbank, as Sandro saying? Yes. So they are the same staff. I think it's only Coquerin, Glengyle is only open for like 8 weeks of the year. They only distill for 8 weeks of the year, and they produce, for me, the best whiskey in the world right now. And do it for such a short period of time. It's amazing. Yeah, so also that's just the chat just jumped there. Whatever. Des is saying to Wes, to Welsh Tor, I'm always tempted to buy independents, but I need a review first. Yeah, I think having reviews, looking at it, as I say, I could review something one day and someone else could review it and hate it. Our taste buds are different. And I always say, you can go to a restaurant, not every single person orders the same thing. You sit and look at the menu, there's 10 options. You could get 10 different things because something could be on there like a mushroom risotto or something. I don't like mushrooms, so I'm not ordering that. So there's certain whiskies that could have that effect, that there's a profile that I don't like, I'd keep away. But some people absolutely love a certain profile. So don't always take it for granted. Do a wee bit of research and see exactly what you think. What else have got? Who I just seen the chat just jumped. A few things have came in. Benny saying, I haven't had a bad or even not good indie bottle in my collection yet. Maybe I've just been lucky. Also very critical when picking bottles for purchase. I think price comes into it. The quality, knowing what's in the bottle is great. And indie bottles, as I say, every single one I've got here has the full breakdown of what's in it. Torabhaig is saying, is that production volume for the distillery? Is they malt all their own barley? I wonder if that's what is limiting them. Yeah, Dora, I think it is. They're one of the only full traditional, do their own, all their own floor maltings, all their own bottling, all their own labelling, all their own packaging, all on site. They keep everything on site as well. So I think the thing that could limit them is not having the space to expand. They maybe could. Like Lagavulin, for instance. Lagavulin, there's two types of Lagavulin. You go to Islay, it just takes in. It's magical. It's wonderful. It's an absolutely stunning environment, especially in the summer when you can walk from Ardbeg to Laphroaig and just enjoy the day in the sunshine and sampling. But you go to Lagavulin, they've obviously got warehouses there, not very big ones, but they've got whiskey aging. A lot of their whiskey is, I live in Stirling, and it is probably 15 minutes away from me, is where one of their huge, massive warehouses are. You read the bottle, traditional Islay malt, but it's a 16-year-old, which is aged 16-year-olds in more or less central Scotland with no sea breeze, nothing like that. So when you try, I would love to be able to say, can you draw me a sample from that cask, which has been aging here on Islay, and draw me one from that cask with the same spirit in it, the same cask makeup, and see if there is a huge difference. Because I believe that where you look at Campbelltown, they've got this completely different flavour profile because of being on the coast. Islay has a different profile compared to Lowlands and Highlands and things. We all have our same kind of profile. So I'm very intrigued to see how that would work out. Very intrigued. What else have we got here? Many reviewed, and if you don't pull it out. So where's the say to Des? That's the problem. Many have reviewed, and if you don't pull the trigger, they vanish. Yeah. Sandro's saying, good to hear. Just bought 2 bottles of Kilkerran 12. Looking forward to trying it. Kilkerran 12 is a great staple as well. They've got the 16-year-old, which is like hen's teeth just now. I love that. I've got a tiny bit left, which I'll finish very shortly. And if I can ever get a new bottle, I will. But it's going to be part of the core range. But again, there's not much of it to go around to the world. Right, I'll finish this and we'll get on to my Torabhaig, because I said I would, and I said I'll do an hour, and it's nearly an hour. So let me get to my wee bit in my page, which had Torabhaig in it, so I know a wee bit, because I don't know much about it, to be honest. I'll just cleanse the palate with some water. So I've been inclined to open the first Torabhaig because it's not doing much in auction. It's sitting quite, maybe doing 20 quid more than the original price. But I thought I'll bypass it, I'll go for the second one. So we'll talk about the bottle first. Same shape, very clear liquid. It's everything on there saying it's natural colour, non-chill filtered, and on the back it tells me very, very geeky. It's above my kind of level, so it tells you the actual barley that they're using, the phenol content of the start of it's 77 ppm. So when they're drying that out, the peat, it's 77 ppm, and I think that's when Octomore catches out. It will start with this crazy peat content, and then once it's distilled, it drops way down. So 77 ppm, Then it goes on to this crazy stuff I've got no idea about, and the yeast content that they're using. It's aged in first fill bourbon and refill whiskey barrels, bottled at 46%, no chill filtration, no colouring, and a residual phenol level of 17 ppm. So 17 ppm is probably what's going to be in this glass, I would imagine. It's going to be not as peaty. It's super light, and I've tried some whiskies that are really light in colour, but if you get an amazing bourbon cask, a really good reactive bourbon cask, it makes top quality whiskey for me. So take my wee topper off. It is literally like a glazed donut and you're at the beach. Straight away, it's sweet, it's salty, it's got that kind of real coastal blast. It's a lot more coastal than Talisker. Salty glazed donut. Straight away, that was just hit me. So it's got that big sea influence there. It's quite oily on the nose. It's got that kind of oil paint kind of hit to it. It's quite pungent, but sweet, salty, oily. It's kind of beachy. It's kind of like being at the beach. Right, I'm going to try this on the palate and see what it does. It's exciting me on the nose. And again, we look at how young this is. This distillery was founded in 2016, and we've just got their first stuff out there. We'll try this with Slainte, everyone. Let's see what it does. It still says salty. It's got that kind of drying grass. There is peat there for sure. Definitely hanging about there. So potentially could be, the ppm level could be higher. I'm not too sure if I've read that right then on the back of the bottle. But it's still oceany, grassy, peaty, sweet. You're salivating as well. It's sticking to your teeth, it's sticking to the back of the tongue, your cheeks. That's good stuff. I like that. It's Lee J. Sorry about my listening. Right, guys, need to pop early, start tomorrow. No problem, Lee J. I will see you again on another live, maybe tomorrow if you're on that. In fact, I will not make tomorrow now. Just thinking about it. Maybe next week. But cheers for coming in, Lee J. It's been great. Hopefully, I know you got round to that Octomore at one point in time, and your journey didn't start as long ago. And looking at your online, all the whiskey you're getting out is great. I love that buzz that you're trying so much. Amazing to see. So have a good night, have a good sleep, and hopefully get a good wee dram at the weekend. So Russell's saying to Benny, the Cleela is Lagavulin, all matured in Central Belt on the mainland. Makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah. It's crazy how on the bottle it'll say a natural Isla product or done here, done there. And I think there would be a huge difference. I genuinely do. And I could be wrong, majorly off, and you couldn't tell the difference, but I think there might be a big difference on how coastal it can be. And this is starting to fill the room. Like you can smell it. It's like a wee scent flying. It's really, really enjoyable. But it does make you think how a lot of these distilleries are, for how big they are. Like Cleela is absolutely monstrous. You know, they're producing crazy amounts. They'll sell casks to literally anyone. I think you could phone them up, not even be an independent bottler, and say, can I buy a cask? And they'll say yes, because we've got too much. Made for blends, you know, built for that. You don't see much Cleela in shops just on its own. You know, I think their standard core range is a 12-year-old, which is all I've ever seen. I've never seen anything else. It just all goes to independents, and that's like straight away, you know, this whiskey broker one, that's an independent Cleela, 9-year-old, and you'll see so much. And a lot of these indie guys that start out kind of go there. So you can try Kahlua in different ways, but I actually don't think I've tried or remember the last time I tried the core range 12 straight from them. That'd be good to actually do. So has anyone tried this? Has anyone tried the Torabhaig, the first one, or this second one, the Alt Glen? And I don't know what that means. I could be absolutely chopping the way you should say that as well. Robustly peated spirit with a deceptively refined character, resulting in a complex and characterful maritime whisky. Drawn from batches no more than 30 barrels, distilled and cast in 2017 and 2018, and bottled this year. So 3 or 4 years. Well, it's not been said it's bottled this year, but it's going to be 3 or 4 years old. So it's young. It's not spirity. I don't get that you make spirit with it. It has definitely interacted with the cask. If you were to say to me, how old do you think this whiskey is? By the colour, I would definitely say it's got to be young, but I would not guess 3 or 4 years. I would probably say maybe 8, something along those lines. Yeah, the 12, the mock, and the distillery edition are unpeated. I've seen the unpeated one, which I think would be quite obscure. I've never tried that. I think the money for it, I think it's expensive, and that's why I thought I'm not going to take a hit on this, because an unpeated Isla would be slightly different. Although you look at Bunnahabhain, which is practically not peated. It's very, very low, which I enjoy, so I might like it. Maritime most do affect the Manzanilla because it is a live product, and the bodegas are made in such a way as it is to get sea air to penetrate the barrels. Hard to understand how that happens with the distillate. That sounds very technical, but I can understand certain parts of it, that where the cask lies and how the air interacts with it. And there's, it's a live living product, the wood, and it's all natural. I can see wee gaps being there that the sea breeze and the air around there can get in. Welsh Toro. So Jamie Brownstein loves the first Torabhaig. Haven't tried the second, like you. I've been at an indie kick, but also new distilleries. So I've got the second, but I've not tried the first. Jamie, that's me. I'm the opposite way from you, but I really, really enjoyed that. And that's been like the last 3 first new distilleries that I've tried. I opened the first edition of the Ardnamurchan. I got one of them. I opened it straight away. If look at it now, it's probably worth a lot of money, which is fine. I tried it, enjoyed it, I shared it, it was great. I tried the Lindors, which was great as well. It's a similar thing. You don't taste the new make from it. And now this, I don't taste the new make. It's not spirit led. And there's some whiskey there which is definitely spirit led from big brands. So it's crazy to see. Well, Storm saying I've got a Cadenhead's Kahlua 12, which is a little cracker. It's 46%, not 43 like the official bottle. Yeah, that's another way to look at it, because I have never seen a Dalwhinnie indie bottle, so I just don't think they sell casks. There's certain distilleries that will just say no. Like, I'm sure Glenfarclas will sell you a cask, but before they do it, they open the bung and they pour literally a teaspoon of something else in. So you can't call it Glenfarclas. It's teaspooned Glenfarclas. And I think that generally physically means they just teaspoon whatever they've got. So say they turn around, it's Dalwhinnie 15. Yep, put that on a wee spoon, pour it in, and they'll dilute it to the minuscule thing that you'll never taste the difference in. But in Scotch terms, it is technically not a single malt anymore. It has been added with something else. So it's a blended malt or a teaspoon. So they'll put on the label teaspooned malt, so you know it's not a full blend. So some distilleries will do that. They'll sell you them, but they'll make sure it's a teaspoon. Or some of them will say, yes, you can buy from us, but you cannot put our name on the label, which can throw some people off. Russell saying, I bought a Torabhaig arrived just today, so I haven't cracked it yet. Looking forward to it. I'm enjoying it so far. As I say, it's very beachy and sweet. Glazed donut on a beach is the best way I can describe that. That salty air, having a nice fresh donut, walking down the beach, probably getting attacked by a seagull. Yeah, grassy. On the palate, very grassy, very hay. That smokiness, the peat's there. The sweetness still hangs around. It's great. So I put a wee bit of water in that. I want to see what that does. Welsh Toro is saying that I've had some great Williamson, which is teaspoon. Yes, I had a Williamson from Carnmore before, and it was brilliant. And I had to literally look up. I was like, what is Williamson? And you have to go through some certain channels to try and find out. And then you hit some great forums, and they inform you that it's Lefroy, which is, I never knew that. So it's a cheaper way sometimes to pick up a cask strength Lefroy or a different kind of side to Lefroy, because they can be expensive. And there's one reason I think they're massive in the world, because if you go to Islay and you go on the Whisky Walk, you start at Ardbeg and you have your drams, you go to Lagavulin and have your drams, and by the time you get to Lefroy, you're drunk, steaming, you have your drams and you buy a bottle. Is what I never bought a bottle, but I was I had sampled a lot that day. I had product research, I called it. I had a lot of product research that day, but I never bought one because it was well, in saying that, I wasn't a fan of Lefroy until I went to Lefroy and I got to speak to someone that worked there that really informed me of what they do, and I told them what I like in whiskey and what I like at certain other distilleries. I got to try, I think it was at the time, the Cardaeus or the Law or something along those lines, and I thought, wow, this is a different avenue. So I went to somewhere different to go back to the core range. I love the quarter cask now. I picked it up at, I think I was at Costco last year, and it was £21. And I was like, I'll take it. If I don't like it, someone's going to come round that will like it. Donna Pass Whisky is saying sometimes they don't teaspoon it, but tell them they can't put the distillery on the bottle, like Whitlaw, Highland Park, is like that, yeah. So some of them will say that, like, yeah, we'll sell you a cask, but you cannot use our name. That's just a no-go. So I put a wee bit of water in this, a wee splash, which I don't think it needs it, but I just like to try something new, both with natural and then a little bit of water. It doesn't smell much difference. It still smells the same. I feel like it's taking the peat away there. I don't know if that's just... Try this again. It's taking something away, but I can't find out what it is. It just seems like that it was here and it's just really dropped. Like that water's killed it. I'm not getting the kind of the certain flavours from it. Yeah, I would, next time I have a dram of this, I wouldn't add water. For me personally, I'm not going to add water to it. That's just the way I would like that whiskey. I think it's all the way it's in the bottle is the way I would have it in the glass. Welsh Toro was saying we also have the secret Isleys like Finlag and Smokehead Iliac. It's fun to guess the distillery. Yeah, totally is. So one of them I heard Smokehead is Bunnahabhain. Don't know how much of that's true, but I heard from a good source that's Bunnahabhain. The other ones I could imagine Iliac, I think would either be Lagavulin or Kalila because they're ones that sell. But there's one, if I still got it here, that this Mactala Strata from Morrison Distillers, 15-year-old, is, for me, I got from a source I've spoke to, will not give anything away, but I've said this is Lefroy all day, and I stick by that, and I want to go to Aberaggy and chap on the door and ask, put me out of misery. I believe that's Lefroy because it's got TCP, iodine on the nose, and that's it. And I can't see past it, but I'm nipping away and I don't get anything. Honestly, they hold their cards so close to their chest, which is fine. They don't want to give away anything. I get that. And I think indie bottlers could be quite secretive in that sense. And I'm so good with it. Drew from Arizona's in. Drew is my man. Got lost with puppy duty. That is not a problem. Puppies come first for me. I love dogs, and you've got wee dash hounds, and they're my favourite type of dogs. So that's fine. We're just wrapping up though, so don't worry. I will still be doing my video for Friday. I'm putting a video of a hand-filled Glendronach 25-year-old, which Ben Marnock gave me to do. So I'm really looking forward to that. Smokehead has been thought of as Ardbeg. People swear that old Smokehead 18 was the Ardbeg. I had a bottle, I couldn't tell. It could be. It really could be. That's a cool thing with indie bottles as well. Sometimes they'll just throw it out there with a cool name on it. Smokehead. Here you go. Here's a Smokehead. Take it. What is it? Oh, we don't know, but it's just good. And I think that's the first thing. When you try new whiskey, that's a great thing about a blind tasting. Go to your friend's house. I'll get my missus to pour me whiskey blind sometimes. And the thing you want to know is, do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy that whiskey? Should always be the first question that gets asked. Yeah, enjoy it. Great. And then build up to taste this, to taste that. Then find out, what is it? Oh, wow. I used to think that was kind of bang average. And it's very difficult to put something in front of you blind. And if you've got a collection with 70 bottles in it, it's hard to say definitively that is going to be a Torabhaig Alt Glane, because there's so many whiskies that do taste similar. So do blind tastings, pour something, get your better half to pour something, or do dram swaps with people and just put numbers on them and put a wee envelope in it with what it is, and just try them neat, try them. Do you like them? Do you not like them? And then find out what they are. I think that's a good thing to do. What else have we got here? Everyone's saying hi to Drew. Everyone knows Drew. Port Askeig is another camouflage Islay malt. I guess it's from various distilleries depending on the release. I remember. Yeah, they've just got the green light to open their own distillery. It's called, I've literally got it in here, in my wee book of wonder. Where are they? There was a picture somewhere, but I can't remember where it is exactly. But yeah, they're opening their own distillery. They've got planning permission to open up. It's got a cool name. I can't remember exactly what it is. I'm trying to find it just now. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It might be at the start, it might be at the end. I can't remember. This is a book that I would recommend getting, is the Malt Whisky Yearbook 2021. Get it every single year. I think it's Ingvar Rond, is that his name? I can't remember. I think it is. Yeah, Ingvar Rond is the guy that writes it. He goes around literally every single distillery and gets all the information. So I get a lot of my facts and things from this book. So if there's something you're kind of like, oh, that's my favourite distillery, I want to know a wee bit more about it, sitting going through this is absolutely amazing. I would recommend getting this wee book. So I've got loads of whiskey books, but this is one I go to quite a lot. It gives me quick facts, quick figures and stuff. So Russell's saying, I've just cracked the Torabhaig. I really like the nose on it, very attractive, almost a tad Islay-like, not convinced by the palate, however, not yet anyway. Yeah, sometimes it can be a tight neck pour. That's why I thought I better pour mine, let it sit for a little bit, and then try it. Because I've had that before. I actually had that with the Duncan Taylor. I remember I tried that straight away, and I was not impressed in the slightest. And now it's great. Really, really enjoy it. But I know it's getting late. I know schools and things will get back. I know there's mums and dads on this chat that will probably want to be getting to their bed and getting them up for school or getting to work in the morning. Everything's going back to normality. I did see the Glasgow Whisky Festival has been moved to February. I am hoping my shifts fall into play that I can get that off, because I would love to go. I went before and it was just amazing. You're meeting huge profiles, like Charles McLean was there, the guy that invented the Glencairn glass, all these things. And you're trying nearly 50, 60 different brands that are there. So I will hopefully get a ticket for that in February. Have a look online. I've got no affiliation with them. I'm just letting people know that if you're here, have a look. I can't remember the dates, but I just seen it. It came up all over my news feed and my whiskey pages that I'm on, and I thought, oh, I need to go. So hopefully my shifts fall in line with that. I'll definitely be there. because I had an absolutely amazing time last time I was there, and trying new things, because that's the kind of launch period as well. That's when people launch their new whiskies, the new age statements, the new finishes, all these things. So I would definitely try and get to that, because I'll be going if I can. So we'll finish off with a few of the comments, see what we're doing, because I'm going to start racking up here and letting you all go to bed and get away from me just chatting now. I'm just kind of on that chatting note. So Russ was saying just cracked it almost. Oh, so I've had that one, sorry. Well, sorry to Benny. I don't know what I've missed here, but he's saying it's almost certainly clear. Yep, neck pours are always never to be trusted. Yeah, neck pours can be good or bad, so always give them a little bit of time. Definitely. I thought for years it was always clear, but I'm pretty sure I've read that it may vary release to release. Thought 100% must be that. So I don't know what Benny and Welsh Toro are talking about, but I'm quite intrigued by they're on the line to something that they think there's a name behind one of the bottlings. I'm on my first week of my summer holiday, so just go on, Kevin, is what Benny's saying. I wish I could. I'm actually off tomorrow as well, but I need to start packing because I'm going to Canada on the 30th and I'm not back until the 19th. So as I say, I'm going to take September off. I'm going to come back maybe with a new look. I'm going to try some new ideas, maybe just do reviews, but try and spice them up, be a little bit different, you know, and keep you guys interested. Because I think sometimes just doing the reviews, like, oh, okay, everyone's done that. I want to try and think of something a wee bit different. I want to do something a bit different. I want to maybe try and do a wee live a month. I know everyone quite enjoyed the under £40 or under £30 bottles. The only difficulty with that is doing that every single month is quite hard because you don't drink a bottle a month. So having that is difficult. So I'll do maybe that. But when I'm away, I'm going to have a wee think. I'm going to try and enjoy my time away and think of some new ideas for when I come back. So what else we got? First we got holidays, so Benny's seen that. Welsh is saying big problem with recent indies have been a lot of whiskey is crummy, overused cask, and a yacht is a lot too young and very popular distilleries. Yeah, like Clear, it's very popular. They just make it, put it out there, sell it, and let everyone else deal with it. Talking about the Port Ascii, yes, so the Port Ascii, that's good to know. Thanks for the live stream. It was a good and have a fun time. I will do Torabhaig Whisky. I will really look forward to it. I have not met my partner's parents yet. I've only met them online like this on FaceTime and stuff. So it'll be the first time I'll actually be meeting them live, and I'm there for 3 weeks. So I've got 3 weeks to just annoy them enough that that'll be enough for them and throw me back to Scotland where all the cheaper whiskey is. So that'll be fun. But I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to get away. I've got some friends in Canada that aren't going to be too far from where I'm staying, so maybe try and catch up with them and just meet everyone and just have time off as well, just being able to relax. I've not been away for 4.5 years, so this will be my first time away, which is really exciting. Really excited. Jimmy's saying we're trying to find another local folk, so fun drew from his 8. I have Boston Distillery minutes away. Perhaps we go there next. Oh, that'll be fun. I've been to Boston. My office was in Providence when I worked in America. I was there for 3 years. I had an office in Providence. I was in Boston a couple of times. Thanks, Kevin. I wish you a fine trip. Thank you, Sandro. I really appreciate that. Petehead saying enjoy your trip and thanks for amazing live stream. Petehead, thank you very much. Hopefully, I can't remember how far away I'll be from you, but I says I will try and bring over some samples and send them inland and get them to you because I think you're not Vancouver, are you? Out that way? Where are you again, Petehead? Let me know, because what I'll do is I'll take some samples and I've got wee cool sample bottles now that are easy to ship, so I'll bring them with me and send them whilst I'm there because I owe you some drams. Too bad you can't take a Toronto Maple Leafs hockey game. Maybe, well, I don't know enough about hockey. In fact, I don't know enough. I know nothing about hockey. I like NFL from being in the States. I know there's CFL. So I'll be able to see some things. I'm playing some golf. I know that. I'm really looking forward to. Cheers, everyone. Dead saying cheers. Have a nice trip. Stay safe. Thanks for the live stream. Loved it. We're looking forward to the next one. Bring back some interesting Canadian drams and let us know what you think. Russell, yeah, that's a good idea. I will. I've got one actually in my selection. I've got a wee international bit in my collection in there that I've opened, but I've just never done it because I don't know enough. But I could put some out there. I've got maybe 6 or 7 bottles, like Irish, Holland, Canadian, and other places that I could do for sure. Oh, Pete Hedger, Ellen, sorry, that's me being silly. I'll still send you. I think I still owe you drams. If I do, just hit me up on Instagram just now, and I'll try and send them out. Before I leave, I'll get that done because I've got better things to send. They're like envelopes now, but working very well. Mark M is saying I'll be going to Glasgow too. It'd be great to get back in the festivals. Yeah, I think all these. I've got a whisky tasting next week. It's with Kilhoman next Thursday, which I'm hoping to get to. If I'm all packed and ready, I will try and get to, because I finish work at the afternoon to the evening, and it starts at 7:30. So this will be my first live tasting that I can get involved in, which I'm looking forward to. But I'll let you all go. I'll sit back. I'm going to enjoy this. I'll maybe pour a little wee drama of it and just get used to it and get to know it, and start packing tomorrow, so I don't, when I'm working over the weekend, start panicking that I've got nothing done. I need to find some time to do things, so I can't procrastinate anymore. So I'll get this all done. I'll take some drams over to Canada with me. My partner's mum and dad like whiskey, so I'll bring some of my favourites, and we can all try them. Tons of great Canadian whiskey vloggers. Can you get together with it? I'm not too sure if I can reach out to them. I've just started getting back into Twitter. I know I feel like I'm lost in the bloody internet. It just became something, and Twitter is the place to be. But I've just started. I need to start going and maybe interacting with some guys. I know Whiskey in the Six are out there. I'm in Toronto, so hopefully, obviously they're absolutely massive. They'll have nothing to do with me, but I'll reach out to some people and try and get a wee day to speak to some and go to some of the cool bars. They'll know where to go. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'll sign off. I'll go back. I'll put all my bottles away. And I'm going to sit back. It's 9:30, so it's still early-ish. And I'll get back in tomorrow and do my live. I'll do my review tomorrow, put it out for Friday, and then next week will be my last review for the full of September, maybe, and then I'll start again back in October with some new ideas and some new faces if I can get them on. But I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea coming and doing lives for so long, but thank you very much for coming in, being interactive, and listening to me blabber on. And I'm still inclined to be an independent bottler buyer. But you could ask me next week and I'll probably go back to core range. Depends what mood I'm in. But thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for leaving some comments. Thanks for subscribing to the channel as well. That's been absolutely great. And it's been good to do a wee live again. But next week is when the big one comes back. Thursday night, I think Roy's back. He's had his summer vacation. Tomorrow night, Sheila. We're looking forward to that. She's done great over fill in for Roy. So I'll be on that once I'm back from the football. But everyone, thank you very much. If you still got a glass, I'll raise a wee glass to everyone for everyone's good health, for tuning in and enjoying whiskey. Slàinte mhath, everyone.